All righty, let's jump into this. So we're just going to stick on this page and simply talk about how do you actually set goals and achieve. And again, this is a map for me, so you can assemble this any way you want. But here's the way I look at it. So how do I develop a goal? Well, here's the answer to that. It's based upon who you are, right? What's your mission? What's your mission, vision, values, beliefs, and what's your perspective about where you are right now, right? Based upon all of that, what goals should you set? Okay, so I've now, using that, I've picked a goal. So then the question is, how do I develop a plan based upon my goal? And the answer is, a plan is called a 1-3-5. Now, this is just a formula, by the way. And a 1-3-5 says one goal. It says 3 ways to accomplish that goal, right? I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And then it says 5 ways to accomplish that. To accomplish that. To accomplish that. Does that make sense? And it's just really that simple. It's a very simple way to look at goal setting, right? I want to go lose a pound. I'm making that up. I'm going to lose a pound, and I'm going to eat right. I'm going to eat right. I'm going to exercise right, and I'm going to meditate. Cool. Okay. When you exercise, I'm going to eat right. What are the up to 5 things you're going to do to ensure that you eat right? Does that make sense? That's how. This is basically how you build a plan, and it's no more complicated than that. That's how you do it. So the next one is, so how do I know what to do this month or week in order to be on target with my plan? All right. So we call that. Sorry. We call that. Now again, these are just of my own kind of invention, if you will, right? But here's the way I think about that. I'll do it right here. So I call it in my life, I call it a 4-1-1. And that 4-1-1 is 4 weeks, 1 month, 1 year. So the way in my life that I think about it is, this is the year, and I divide that into categories. For instance, I divide that into my professional goals, my personal goals, and then I actually have a separate column that's just financial. So I kind of do it like that, right? What do I need to do professionally? What do I need to do accomplish this year personally? And what do I need to do financially? And then and under that, let's say that this was, I had a plan for my professional world. I would literally take that and I'd make that a category. I would take that and I would make that a category. I would take that and that'd be the category. Does that make sense? Because in order to accomplish my goal professionally of whatever that is, I have to do these 3 things. Personally, I have the same thing. I have a personal worksheet, right? A 1-3-5 that says this year, in order for Gary to have a great year, I need to accomplish these things. Right? Physically, spiritually, right? Does that make sense? And then I'm going to do the same thing. Whatever that says, I'm going to pull that over here and I'm going to do that. Does that make sense? And oh, by the way, financially, same thing. This year, I want to earn X amount of money. I want to save X amount of money. I want to invest X amount of money, blah, blah, blah. I have a financial plan. Same thing, do it the same way. And I do that. and it goes just like that. Make sense? So that's what that's how it starts off annually. And then I drop down into this category, and this would be the month of July, let's say. And then I would do the same thing again. I pull down the categories. And now I go over and I say, now which of these in this category for this plan for my professional world, what is that? What do I need to do this month? And then I drop that there. And I come here and I go, oh, I need to do that one this month. I need to do that one this month. Does that make sense? I pull them over to this. Then I say, okay, there are approximately 4 weeks this month. Here's week 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now, what am I going to do week 1? So now the categories turn on their side like this, meaning in this case, it's professional, personal, financial, right? I do like that. And then I literally pull what I need down and say, well, this week, so now listen to the way this is, now listen to what it sounds like. I need to do this to be on track this month to do that, to be on track this year to do that. I need to do this month to be on track this month for that, to be on track this year for that. I need to do these things this week, right, to be on track. And then based on how I do in the second week, I go, okay, well, how did I do on that? And then that literally translates into what I'm going to do that week. And then based upon that week, this and this, meaning that I get to this, and that should have all added up to everything I needed to do in the month of July in that area. Does that make sense? First time you do, and let me just warn you again, it's going to feel like work. I mean, it's going to feel like, oh my gosh, when we talk about organization time every week, this is what I'm talking about. I'm talking about doing this thinking. What are my goals? What are my plans? And what should I be doing right now? And that literally, right? So that gets back to, so how do I know how to prioritize my actions? Well, we know the answer to that. And that is, what's the one thing I should be doing right now since by doing it, everything's easier or unnecessary? I'm going to focus on that. Now, here's what you do. You take what this says right here, and you better make sure your calendar this week has this blocked in, doing these things, right? Because your calendar is you setting an appointment to get that done, an appointment to get that done, setting aside time this week to do these things. That's how you ensure they get done. And by the way, most people have a mentor, a boss, a coach that they meet with on a weekly basis who helps them think this through, looks at their calendar and literally gives them feedback on doing this. Okay. Now, this is you can make this as easy or simple as you want, but let's just play the game. So where are you going? Where are you going? Right? Physically. Let's talk about physical because it's easy. Let's talk about physical. What's your goal? Do you have a goal? Is it just to live? Love that. Love that. Live to how long? 30? 35? 100? Right? What's your goal? Because, by the way, if your goal is to live to 30, you can probably stop and you don't need to plan anything. You can do whatever you want. The odds are you're going to make it. Okay. You want to live longer, could look differently, right? So you say, okay, well, I want to live, and I'm just using me. I say, well, I'd like to try. I want to live as if I can live to 100. Well, then how would I need, what would need to be my physical goals to do that? In the areas of nutrition, what I eat, how I exercise, and how I meditate. And then you can make this as complicated or simple as you want, guys. Do not freak out over this and go, oh my God, this is just too much work. All we're doing is organizing your mind, by the way. And if you can't put down on paper what your goal is and what the things you should do, what do you bet you don't do jack squat? What do you bet? No, man, again, in my 40 years of doing this, man, I've worked with tens of thousands of people, by the way, actually. And I can tell you the ones that succeed, the ones that have the best careers are those that have some sense of this. And then they literally are on an annual basis, they know what they need to do. On a monthly basis, they know what they need to do. And then on a weekly basis, they're saying, okay, I need to be doing these things. This probably makes it look a little more complicated than it is, but this is the process. What do I need to do this week to be on track this month to get it this year? And oh, by the way, if you don't do it this week, and then you don't do it next week, and you don't do it this next week, then you need to add another month to your year, which, by the way, they don't. So what happens is most people, and this is most people, by the way, and you're trying not to be that, right? There's a reason why they call it average. And you're not looking for average, right? So all I'm saying is that, do you have a sense of what you're doing right now and how that moves the ball forward to here, that moves it to here? That's all. And that's kind of it. It's no more complicated than that. All right. We're going to skip business, which we always skip, by the way. And we're going to go straight to money, like I promised you. So we're going to end our time together talking about money. So my goal is to give you a sense of how to live your life with money. So here's my definition. The true purpose of financial wealth is to finance the material foundation necessary for you to achieve your personal mission for your life, right? So a financially wealthy person is someone who's accumulated the wealth that delivers the unearned income, passive income, meaning delivers income with you not having to work, so to become self-actualized and achieve your mission. So think of it this way. A wealthy person is someone who knows how much money they need to make annually without working to finance their life so they get to achieve their mission. Now, did you hear that? Because what you realize is that a financially wealthy person isn't a dollar amount. In other words, it's not a dollar amount. You could earn $1 million a year and not be wealthy. How? Because you don't know why you have money to begin with. Look, money is good for the good it can do. And in the end, the only reason you want money is because of the life you want to lead. If you don't know and you cannot articulate the life you want to lead, I have bad news for you. You will never make enough money. No amount of money that comes into your hands will ever be enough for you. And that's a horrible life. So I don't care if you make $50,000 a year or if you make $100 million a year. The amounts of money does not make you wealthy. What makes you wealthy is you have enough passive income to finance your purpose in life. And if that only takes $30,000 a year, then it only takes $30,000 a year. And you are a wealthy person. Do you get that? Don't let the world try to tell you what wealthy is and wealthy isn't. Only you can define that, by the way. All right. So if you think about it, the most common mistake that we make in life is looking outside of ourselves for what we should find inside, right? Success is no exception. Just as the source of true happiness lies within each of us, success also comes from within. Success is the result of a very specific mental attitude. Okay? So here's the truth about wealth. You can call it what you want, right? The mentality of the rich, the attitude of success, prosperity consciousness. Financial wealth is always the outward manifestation of an inner focus. It's a result of steering your thoughts towards specific financial targets. So the bottom line is genuine wealth is above all a state of mind. It's a mental state that has taken a physical form in the lives of wealthy people. You have to begin, you must begin by being rich and wealthy in your mind before you ever become rich and financially in dollars. So here's 6 truths about money. So you have to have a prosperity and a financial mentality is all I'm trying to say, right? It's inside to the outside. If you want to have money, so now we're going to talk about this. If you want to have money, it starts here. It starts here, and then it manifests itself out. So let's talk about the truths about money. Here's the first truth. So let's make sure that we're real clear about money. The key to happiness is not more money. Happiness is happiness and money is money, and they're not related, right? Like I tell my son, the beach is free to everybody. All I need is a towel. I'm good to go. It's free. The park is free to everybody, right? You with me? Truth number 2, whatever your life is about, more money will amplify it. Money won't change you. It will expose you. Because a lot of people go, oh, money changed them. Let me tell you about that. Money does not change people. Money literally allows people to finance whatever they value. So they're going to reveal, what you should fear about money is you get enough of it to expose who you really are. Because money will expose you. I always laugh and tell the story of Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley had no taste whatsoever, by the way. Have you ever been to Graceland, any of you? Oh my gosh. Go look up the pictures. Go look at the Jungle Room. Go look at the house. It's on the outside, you go, it's Graceland. It's this wonderful, graceful, estate. And then you go inside and you go, oh my God, this guy was a pig. This guy had no taste. And when he got a lot of money, he proved it. Money exposes you. It amplifies you. It amplifies you. The truth is, lifestyle is style over amount. And style is an art. It's your personal art of living. You can't buy style with money, you guys. You can't buy good taste or good decisions with money. You can only buy more with more money. Right? Truth number 4 is the life quest is to have the best life in the time available to you. It's not the amount, it's the value. Money doesn't buy value as it pertains to the best life possible. It just doesn't. Money just buys you stuff. It buys you experiences, okay? Truth is that money will come to you when you do the right things. Now listen to that. Money will come to you and do the right things. So if you don't have money, or you don't have the money that you want, what do you know to be a fact? You're not doing the right things. Now, here's the bottom line. Money has its own rules and disciplines. If you don't learn them, if you don't learn the rules and the habits about how money is made, you're basically financially illiterate. I mean, you're basically financially stupid. Okay. And the problem with this is that when you were in high school, or some of you may still be in high school, what money class have they been teaching you, right? When you were in middle school or junior high or whatever they called it, and you were taking all of these classes, was one of them money? Was there a class called money? Was there a class called you and money? Was there a class called how to make money, how to lose money? No. And by the way, if you go to college, you're going to get a 4-year degree, and they don't have that class in college either. They don't require it. They don't teach it. You're left on your own. Right? So let's look at this. Let's look at the 8 misunderstandings around you and financial wealth. And here's the first one. There's 3 personal myths and 5 investing myths. Here's the first one. I don't need to be an investor. My job will take care of my financial wealth. Here's the truth about that. Yeah, you do need to be an investor. Your job is not your financial wealth. If you go look at the Forbes 500 or the Forbes 1000, right? The richest people on the planet, you will notice that in every case, it is not their job that made them wealthy. It wasn't. Now, the job may have given them the money that they invested to become wealthy. But I want you to understand that none of them will say he or she was a blank. What they will say is he or she owns blank. Right? Myth number 2, I don't want or need to be financially wealthy. I'm happy with what I have. Well, here's the truth. You need to open your eyes up because you do need and want to be financially wealthy. And the reason is because you don't ever know how much money you'll need. And it isn't just about you. You know, my mom and dad, they never thought about this. They went and became teachers and they got teachers retirement. And that worked out fine. But then life happened. Dad lost all his money because he never studied being an investor. And he lost his money, lost it all, by the way. And they didn't have enough money to live. Now, my older sister, whom I adore, she's wonderful, she never thought about money either. And she followed the same path of them. She was unable to help them and never gave them a dime. My little sister and I, however, we actually did understand this, and we did go make money in excess of what we needed to live. And when our parents needed money, we were able to help them, and we were able to give them a life that they could not have without us. My mother was very clear on her deathbed. She said, she told me, she said, I could not have had the life, because she lived 16 more years after my dad passed away. And she said, I could not have had this life without you. I couldn't have done it. So you don't know what you need. You do not know, right? Right. My wife and I have a precious dog named Millie, and it's a black lab, and she's sick. And so yesterday she had to have a biopsy. Surgeon says that's going to be $3,000, right? And he goes, okay, that's a lot of money for a dog, right? My goal was in life to be in a position where money was not an object as it related to my dog. So my answer was, fine, I got the money, take care of the dog. But I've had friends who've had dogs in exactly the same position, and they've said, well, I'm going to have to let the dog die. And the reason is because they never thought that they would need more money. Well, that's just a lie. Just not true, by the way. Third myth is it doesn't matter if I want it or need it, I can't do it. You know, that gets back to that whole conversation we had yesterday about limiting beliefs. You can't predict what you can or can't do until you try. And if you don't give up, right? Get real, set your mind, take action, and don't give up. I've never met anybody that didn't make money that didn't persistently try. Just so you know that too. So what are the 5 investing myths? So here's the first one, and that is investing is complicated. Investing is only as complicated as you make it. Okay. Can I give you a simple analogy, okay? Now, you may or may not like my shoes, but if I came to you and I said, I'll sell you this shoe for $1, do you think that's a good deal or a bad deal? What do you think? Yes or no? Is that a good deal or a bad deal?
Good deal.
It's a good deal. It's $1. It's a good deal. In fact, you'd buy 1 million of these from me for $1. And if you sold them for $10, you make $10 million, right? Yes. And by the way, we know this is, so let's go there. So if I said, I'll sell this to you for $10, is that a good deal? Yeah, that's a good deal. That's a good deal. $10 is a good deal. You'd buy as many as you could for $10. Not a problem. How about $50? Yeah, that's actually still a good deal for that shoe. Now, let me ask you a question. How about $500? You'd say, no freaking way. It's not possible. It's not going to happen. So here's what I want you to understand. Okay, I'm gonna give you a couple other quick examples before I make a statement. Okay. I'm going to sell you this. I'm going to sell you this bottle of water here, and I'm going to sell it to you for a penny. Is that a good deal? Yes, it's a good deal, by the way. Shake your head. It's a good deal. Okay. I'm going to sell it to you for 10 cents. Is that a good deal?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to sell it to you for 50 cents. Is that a good deal? It's a good deal, by the way. I'm going to sell it to you for $10. Is that a good deal? No, that's a bad deal. You would not do that deal. Okay. So you know the value of water, right? I'm going to offer you this mug. Okay, here you go. I'm going to offer you this mug. I'm going to offer it to you for 50 cents. Is that a good deal? Yeah, that's easy. That's a no-brainer, right? I'm going to offer you this to you for $15. Is that a good deal? No, that's not a good deal. I'm not buying that mug for 15 bucks. You with me? Okay, I'm going to sell you this marker right here for a penny. Is that a good deal? I'm going to sell it to you for 50 cents. Is that a good deal? Okay, so here's the thing. I want you to understand something, right? You guys are masters of bullshit. You know the value of a shoe. You know the value of a t-shirt, right? Here's my Apple Watch. I'll sell it to you for $1. Is that a good deal? Yes. I'll sell it to you for $50. Is that a good deal? Yeah. You've mastered the value of bullshit. You know the value of stuff. But by the way, everything that I just cash flow, the only difference between you, they don't even know what this costs because they can pay whatever it costs. They don't care what this costs because they'll pay whatever it costs. What they mastered was they mastered the value of things that go up in value and generate cash flow. And here's the thing about that. Those are usually not fun things. So a lot of people go, but it's more fun to know the value of my shoes. It's more fun to know the value of, my clothes. It's more fun to know the value of the car. By the way, you buy a new car, you lose money the second you drive it off the lot. It devalues. Used cars don't go for the same price as a new car. The second you buy it, you lost money. You get that? Okay. So people that are rich, people that make a lot of money, they made peace with the boredom of having to learn the value of boring things. Poor people know the value of fun things. Rich people don't even care what the clothes cost. Right? I heard that James Harden was coming to Austin for 2 weeks and he was looking for a place to rent. His budget was $69,000 a week. Do you think he knows the value of what it costs to rent something? No, he doesn't know. He doesn't even care. Right? Those things don't matter to him that much. Why? Why, guys? Yeah, because in his case, he mastered one thing and then he sold that thing called a service, called us being an athlete. He sold it for a lot of money. And so he doesn't need to. Right? Investing is not complicated, you guys. Number two, the best investments require knowledge most people don't have. That's not true. Your best investments will always be in areas you can or already understand, right? Invest in what you know, go do that. Investing is risky, you'll lose money. Nah. By definition, investing is not risky. Risk is risky. Speculation is risky, but investing by definition isn't. And why? Just write this down. Investors make their money going in. Investors make their money going in, not coming out. What I mean is investors buy things at a discount. Investors buy things at a discount. That's how they make money. They don't need the market to boom. They just need to wait till the market recognizes that it's worth this, the value, and then they sell it, right? All right. Myth. Successful investors are able to time the market. No. No one is smart enough to time anything. You're always an investor. Look, this is the way you should behave. There's $50. Now, how much do you have to spend? $50 What would a non-investor say? Heck yeah, $50 out. What would an investor say? How does an investor look at that? Remember the 70-30 rule? Investor would say, I got $35 to spend and $15 to invest. And a highly aggressive investor would say, I got $15 to spend and $35 to invest. And a rich person would say, I've already covered all my spending. I got $50 to invest. You see what just happened? The non-rich person said, I got no money to invest because I'm going to spend it all. The investor says, I already covered my expenses. I have $50 to invest. And that is how the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. That's how it happens, right? By the way, you can't time the market. So what that means is an investor wakes up every day and says, I have $1 to invest. And they go out and they apply an investment criteria. And the market, when it delivers that, they invest. When it doesn't, they don't. But they can't time the market, so they don't come in and out and in and out. That's silliness. You don't do that. You're always in. You're always willing to invest. And by the way, not investing today is an investment decision. If you can't find anything that meets your criteria, don't invest. But that is an investment decision. So not investing is investing, because you're always applying your criteria, right? Always applying your criteria, right? Last one, all the good investments are taken. No, they're not. There are always good investments out there. All right. So let's talk about the 8 concepts of personal money management. So number one is, as a rule, always pay cash. If you use credit, pay it off at the end of the month. Do not finance your life. Because when you finance your life, it means you don't earn enough money to pay for your life. So you're borrowing money to live. The only ones that make sense that you can do that on is a house and a car, because they're big ticket items. And by the way, houses go up in value over time. They do, over time. Thus, financing a house is fine. that can actually turn out to be a good thing to do. Financing a car, you only do that because you don't have the cash to pay the amount of money to, right? Or you buy used and you buy as inexpensive as you can, and you write that check for $1,500 and you buy that car, right? I didn't buy something new until I was in my 40s. I always bought used. I never wanted to buy anything new because I lost money the second I bought it. Then I got to a point where it didn't matter, so I just bought new. But for 2/3 of my life, I didn't do that. Purchase protection. So the next thing you do is you go get maximum disability in case you can't work. You get life insurance, right? You get health insurance. You get home and car insurance. Do you understand that? You get insured. And man, there are so many people that they're just not insured. And it's a real problem. And if you don't have the money to buy health insurance and you get sick, you shorten your life. Number 3, follow a budget. So again, map it out. I got this much money. Now, what am I going to do? How am I going to spend it? And by the way, try to live as lean as possible for the first 10 years when you finish your formal education so that you build up capital. Okay? You save up, then you purchase. Don't let the credit card, right, do your saving for you. Buy based on need first. Avoid a wants purchasing lifestyle. Your first 10 years, buy what you need. Do not get into the want. Figure it out, right? Find your joy in inexpensive things, right? For the first 10 years of your life outside of formal education. By the way, think repair first, replace second, and new last. 7, pay yourself first. And what that means is that when $1 comes in, you take a minimum of 10%. I would prefer to see 20%, 30%. And I want you to pay yourself first. Take that money and put it aside. And the last, tithe. Now, when your first 10 years of college, outside of your last formal education, high school or college, I don't actually want you to financially tithe. I want you to tithe your time. I want you to go volunteer, but I do not want you giving away your actual dollars at that. And again, breathe. This is me, but I'm going to coach you and say that that your time is worth money. So when you tithe your time, you have tithed money. And there are a lot of charities out there that need your time more than they need your money. Because all they would do with your money is they can go buy someone to do what you can just go do. So be smart about that your first 10 years, okay? I'm not going to cover this next one because it's kind of a repeat of what I just said in a different form. All right, let's go through this. This is really interesting. It's called a reality check. It says if your goal is to make $100,000 a year passive income after taxes, meaning it's spendable dollars, you would have to have $1 million. Think about this. If you had $1 million in the bank at 4%, tax-free, by the way, let's ignore taxes, you'd make $40,000 a year. Okay, that's what you would make. It says plus, but that means equal. They meant equal. At 2.5, so you'd have to have $2.5 million a year sitting in the bank that paid you 4%, and then you wouldn't have to pay taxes. Now, you could go buy a municipal bond, and a municipal bond is tax-free. And if that bond, if you had $2.5 million of bonds, and they paid 4% tax-free, you'd make $100,000 a year. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, how are we going to get $2.5 million? Well, let's go through that. If you were making $100,000 a year and you had to pay taxes, you'd pay $30,000 in taxes approximately. You'd have $70,000. So you'd have $30,000. I just said you have $30,000 to invest and $40,000 to live. So one of the first challenges that people have is someone who makes $100,000 does not live on just 40. They spend 70 usually, and that's a mistake. But let's just say that you were frugal and you took 30 and invested it reasonably. At the end of 10 years, if you got no interest, let's pretend that you had no interest, that your money didn't make you money. So at 30,000 times 10 years, you'd only have 300 grand. In 20 years, you'd have 600. 40, you'd have 1.2 million. It would take you 80 years at saving $30,000 to get 2.5 million. Do you see that? Now, if you could save 60,000 a year, it'd take you 40 years at no interest. We're going to talk about interest in a second, making money, but no money at all, take you 40 years. If you were able to invest or save 120,000 a year, take you 20 years. And it would take you 10 years if you actually had 240. Now, do you get this? Do you see what I'm saying here? You have to learn how to invest because you don't have 40 years, 80 years. You don't have that. And most likely, your first 10 years, you're not going to be saving 240,000 a year. You've got to learn to invest. Okay. So this is one of those typical Gary Keller models, but this is one I want you to absolutely take, and I want you to tape it up on a wall or tack it somewhere until this thing is in your brain, because this is the path of money. And I had read a lot of investment books, and they're telling you to do all kind of things. And as you've discovered, typical of me, I read a lot and then I go, okay, now what am I going to do? What's the truth behind that? What's the thing I need to get from that I can go apply? So one day after I'd read a lot of books, I just sat down with paper and pen. I said, okay, what have I learned? Well, here's what I learned. You have two sources of capital, human and capital, meaning you work for money and money works for you. Now, either way, you end up with what we call cash flow. You got money, you're holding it in your hands. Great. You have four things you can do with that money. You can spend it, donate it, hold it, or invest it. You only have four things. Well, you could eat it. That'd be number 5. But right, you have 4 options, right? I can spend it, donate it, hold it, right? Make nothing on it, or invest it. You with me? And this is where budgeting comes in, because you should decide that invest it should never say 0. Holding it, you actually should, before you start investing, you should set up some sort of a savings account of some money, right? Just in case a disaster happens or something breaks or something, and you need some cash. So it's insure, right, with your money. You make sure you're insured. You're at minimum that health, your personal items, your car, that those things are insured, because you can afford the insurance. You can't afford the catastrophe of you needing a lot of money and you don't have the insurance to pay for it. So insurance is literally, you're just financing for a disaster. That's all you're doing, because you can't afford the disaster, but you can afford the incremental monthly payment. That's what insurance, that's a layman's way of looking at insurance. So I'm going to invest it. I have 2 choices. I can either lend or I can own. Now, you may not have ever thought about it that way, but when you go to invest, you can only do 2 things. You can either lend people money or you can buy things when you invest. Now, there's 2 basic positions, and that is passive and active. Passive is when your money works, your money does the work, right? And you don't do anything. And active is when you are involved. right? So passive is you give your money to someone else. Active is when you actively decide what to do with it. So when you're passive, meaning you're going to give your money to someone else and they're going to make you money, that's passive. There's two positions, or lending and owning. So when you go buy a CD or a money market, you do realize you're lending money to the bank, because the bank is going to turn around and lend your money back out at a lot more money than they're giving you. So the bank says, we're going to give you 2% on your money market account, or 2% for your CD. And you go, woohoo, I'm getting 2%. You do understand that they're going to turn around and lend your money out at 6% or 8%. That's how banks make money. So they borrow your money cheap and they loan it right back to you to buy a car at 3 to 4 times what they're actually paying you for your money. So if you had $20,000 in the bank, and they're not paying you anything, by the way, in the bank, nothing. And then you turn around and buy and borrow $20,000 from the bank to buy a car. Didn't you just borrow your own money? Say yes. Yes, you did, by the way. That's right. That's exactly. Yes. Okay. So passive lending is you give your money to someone and then they turn around and reuse your money. That's what that means, okay? So that's what lending is. You loan it to them and they turn around and loan it back out. Owning passively would be stocks, real estate investment trusts, mutual funds, where you're investing in someone, you're giving someone else your money for them to run their business, okay? And that's the stock market. That's the mutual fund market, okay? On the active side, you can lend, meaning you can own or finance something, meaning that I'm going to sell you this mug, but instead of you giving me $1 for it, I'm going to actually loan you the money at 8%. So I've turned this mug that I bought for $1. I'm going to turn around and sell it for $1, but I'm going to finance it. So I'm actually making $1.08 on my mug. You see that? You see what I just did to you? You and I can both go buy a mug for $1, but you don't have $1 and I do. So I buy the mug for $1 and then I finance it. I loan you the money, but I'm going to charge you 8%. So if you pay me back in 1 year in monthly payments, I made 8 cents on my dollar. By the way, if I loaned out $10 that way, I made 80 cents. You begin to see what happens? Now try $1 million. All right? You see that? Now I'm making $80,000 because you don't have $1 million. I have $1 million. So I'm going to loan you the $1 million and I made 80 cents. Got it? And understand that I will get to rates of return in just a second. And on the owning side, it's businesses and real estate. So what's really, by the way, that's where all the money is. All the money on the planets is either in businesses or real estate. That's where it is. So what's really cool about real estate, and this is a big aha for me, is it's kind of like I hit the lottery. I got a degree in real estate, right? I get out, I just did it, right? I liked what that guy did that my dad, had me spend a day with. So I studied it, I came out, and then I realized, oh my gosh, I hit the lottery. The two places where all the money is the industry I just got into. And that is, I look at real estate all day and I understand how to invest in it so I can invest in what I sell. And oh, by the way, my career, I can leverage myself from being a salesperson to owning my sales business. I went, oh my God, I love this career. All of a sudden I went, wow, an entrepreneur's dream. Got it? And then the last thing is no matter where you put your money, you're going to get a return of something if you put it in any of these. And you're going to take that money, and now you have your money working for you. You have cash flow. You have 4 choices. You got it? Okay. So take this up, tape it somewhere until you burn it in your brain. All right. So this, by the way, is the most important sheet of paper I can show you about money. It's understanding compound interest, which is like the miracle of miracles. So follow along with me. This is another sheet of paper you need to put up and stare at it until you understand, because this is how you become financially literate, by understanding this sheet of paper and the one I just went over. And that is the flow of money, the path of money. Now, compound interest. So I want you to think about this. If you invested $100 every month and you got zero interest, at the end of 1 year, you would have $1,200. At the end of 2 years, you'd have $2,400. Remember, you're investing $100 a month. At the end of 3 years, you'd have $3,600. At the end of 20 years, you'd have $36,000, because that's all you put in, right? This is zero interest. So over 30 years, I put in 36,000 and I have 36,000. Okay. Now, understand that inflation is always greater than zero, which means that your $36,000 that you saved doesn't buy you $36,000 of stuff. Inflation, right? In other words, you set aside $1,200 and you made nothing on it, but the goods and services that last year cost $1,200, this year cost $1,200.20. I'm just making that up. But the point is that you actually went backwards 20 cents because your money did not keep up with the growing cost of what everything costs. So you've actually gone backwards by getting zero interest. And over time, you go real backwards, which is why you have to make more than zero on your investment dollars. You just can't set them aside, okay? So if I get 2%, which by the way, that's about the rate of inflation annually, okay? So if I put in $1,200, $100 a month, at the end of the year, I made $13. You see that? At the end of 2 years, I made $51. Not getting rich, am I? At the end of 20 years, instead of $36,000, I have $49,355. So I have made in 30 years, in 30 years, I have made $3,355 in 30 years. That's not a lot, is it? You go to a CD, you go to money markets, you go to this side of the chart, and that's where you are. You're in that land right there. Okay. By the way, it would go to 4%. By the way, I made 26 at the end of 1 year, right? I made 103 at the end of 2 years. And oh, by the way, isn't it interesting? I'm at 69,000. 36,000 at nothing, 49 at 2%. I'm at 69 at 4%. Okay. And that's in the range of like a municipal bond, a tax-free municipal bond, can be in that, can play in that 4% range. Okay. 6%. Look what happened. All right. I made $40. Right. Now I've made 156. You see what's happening? Go down 30 years. I'm at 100,000. That's the miracle of compounding. So 36,000 with nothing, 6%. I've made approximately $55,000 in 30 years. My money has made that for me. Now, by the way, the stock market in any 9 to 10 year period averages between 8 to 10%, the stock market. Do you see that? That's the stock market. That's that side right there. That right there. This side over here, this side, 2% to 4%. This side usually averages 8 to 10% in any 9 to 10 year period. So we're living there. So let's see what that looks like. So I put in 1,200 at 8%. I have 53. So understand, at the end of 1 year, 13 versus 53, a lot of people go, that's not a lot of money. And they pull out their $53 and spend it. Because whoop-de-doo, right? Or at 10%, I made 67. But I want you to play this out, and I want you to go to 20 years and look what happened. 20 years, I put in 24,000, and I have 76 at 10%. 59, right, at 8. However, look what happened just 5 more years. In just 5 more years, I made an additional how much money? Do you see that? I made over $60,000. I made 76,000, right? Well, hold on, let's say this right. I put in 24, so I made $52,000. Is that right? Yeah, I made $52,000 in 20 years. So I made 52. In 5 more years, I added another $60,000. Now just sit back and smoke on that for a second. And oh, by the way, in 5 years after that, I made another $90-something thousand. So in the 10 years, I went from having 76 total to having 227, you guys. So here's the thing. How old are you? I'm going to pretend you're 22 years old. You put $100 in every month for the next 30 years, and you'll have 227. By the way, in the stock market, and remember, the stock market booms and crashes. That's why you just can't take your money out anytime you want. That's the downside of the stock market. Your money isn't there for you to always get. Because if you notice, a lot of the gains of the stock market can be made in 1 year, can't it? In other words, for 8 years or 9 years, you were very anemic and your stock portfolio had made you 2%. You know, well, this isn't very good. And then bam, just like that, your entire portfolio goes up by 6%. That's how it works, by the way. That's the stock market. So when you play the stock market, when you put your money in, what you do is you go into a general fund, right? You go into a market fund that just takes your money and puts it across all of the stocks. Why? Because as you narrow it down, you'll either beat or not beat the stock market. Does that make sense? So you go play it thinking you're going to outbeat it, and most likely you're going to end up over here because nobody's that smart. Over 30 to 40 years, you guys, nobody's that smart. There are very few. And by the way, you can't lose your money. You don't want to lose your money. So you should not be playing with this. So think about this. What if you put in $200 a month? You would have $500,000 in 30 years. What if you put in $400 a month or $5,000 a year, approximately? How much money would you have? You'd be a millionaire. So if you're 22, at age 52, you'd be a millionaire. What if you had put in, now, am I getting your attention? That's at $400 a month for 30 years and you're a millionaire. What if you put in 800 a month? What would you be at 52? 2 million. What if you put in 1,600 a month for 30 years? What would you have? $4 million. So that's about $20,000 a year. Let's go back here. Just to get $2.5 million, right? It took you how many years? That's if you put aside $2,500 and got nothing on it, $30,000 a year. In 20 years, you only have 600,000. That's not going to cut it, is it? Say that to yourself. That is not going to cut it. But what if you had taken just 20,000 at age 22, and in 20 years, instead of having 600,000, what do you have? Now multiply that times, because that by the way is only $100. That's only $1,200. So multiply that times what number? Because we're talking about 30,000. Do you see my point? And at 30, and by the way, when is the magic happening? It's not at 20, is it? So at 42, are you going to take your money out? Yes or no? No. So here's the thing. If you got nothing out of our time together, you get out. I want you to go into the stock market. I want you to save $4,000 or $5,000 right up front because right. I want you to pay your insurance, and then I want you to live like a pauper for 10 years, right? I literally want you to master something, and I want you to say for the rest of my life, as fast as I can, I want to get to a minimum of 500, 600, 1,000, 1,500 a month stock market, $2,000 a month stock market, stock market, stock market, stock market. How rich will you be? You will hit 50, 55. And that's young, by the way. And you will be rich. And by the way, you only made $70,000 a year. And 30 years later, you're a multi-millionaire. Do you get it? Tell me you get this. Now, why would you own a business? Well, here's why you own a business. You own a business because if you can make it go, your rates of return are over here. They're actually, think about this, Keller Williams. I put in $1,000 to start Keller Williams. We borrowed $44,000. We paid that $44,000 back at the end of 1 year, and we never borrowed money again. What's my rate of return on Keller Williams? It's not on this sheet of paper. It's not on. It's off the chart. It's down the street around the corner. By the way, this is the magic of the real estate industry, because you can go in as a salesperson and if you get good at it, you can literally turn that into a business. I wrote a book on how to do that, by the way. You can turn it into a business. your rate of return is off the freaking chart. So do you see how understanding money, you don't have to go out and earn $1 million in order to be a millionaire. You have to understand money. So the game is this. If you don't own the business, and even if you do, you should be over here building this up. I do that. I've been doing that. I just put it in there. I put it in there. I put it in there. And then I let it ride. I let it ride. I haven't touched it. Right? So Keller Williams could go bankrupt. I could lose all of it, folks. And I'm still rich. Do you get that? And I did that because I could blow it. I could still blow it. Anybody could blow it, right? And you could lose it. I don't know how, but you could lose it. But I'm fine. I'm financially fine. That makes sense? All right, here's the last sheet of paper and we're done. I apologize, I've kept you 20 minutes longer, though we did start 20 minutes late. But I promised you an hour on money. My goal was to keep that. Okay, so here's the last page. So this is the last sheet on, by the way, these pages we've gone through, this is like a master's class in money, by the way. This is like a PhD in money. Read it, reread it, take the pages, stick them up until you get it. So here's the last page. And these are the attributes of investment options, okay? And what it says is, on the left over here, what I've put together for you is, these are all of your choices, right? U.S. Treasury, federal agency securities, CDs, money markets, corporate bonds, high yield bonds, convertible bonds, municipal bonds, zero coupon bonds, mortgage-backed securities. I've gone through it, real estate, gold and silvers, collectibles, right? I've got it all. I've got not everything, but close to everything over here on this side. And then what I've done is I've given you their major attributes. Is it, can you make high money or is it secure? Can I make a lot of money from it or is my money secure? Does it have growth potential, short-term or long-term? Is my principal secure or at risk, right? Is it liquid and does it have tax advantages? So I've given you the attributes, if you will, up here, and then I've just checked off. So by the way, a U.S. Treasury security, your money is secure. You're not going to lose it. By the way, doesn't have any growth potential. It doesn't. Is it secure? Yeah. Is it liquid? Yeah. Does it have tax advantages? Yeah. You're just not going to make much money. Okay. So we come down here and you start talking about growth potential. Real estate starts to check the boxes, doesn't it? Common stock checks the box, right? So real estate and stocks, high level income opportunity. Yeah. Is your income relatively secure? Yeah, it is, by the way. The stock market never goes to zero. Now, an individual stock can go to zero, but if you invest in a market fund, it never goes to zero, and real estate never goes to zero. That's what they mean, by the way. Right? Does it have growth potential? Common stocks? Yeah. Short-term real estate? No. Stock can go up the next day. Real estate doesn't. Do they have long-term? They both have long-term, absolutely. But by the way, please don't play that stock market. Don't do that. You're not that smart. You're not a genius. Okay? What I mean is, you may be, but you're the only one. So you need to act like you're just not. Okay? You see this? Master this sheet of paper. The simple game of real estate, the simple game of investing is this, you guys. And we're done. The simple game of investing is this, and that is make money. Go. Now you see how all this comes together. Go out and master something. Master something. And this is all about money now. We're talking about money. Master something, because when you master it, you're going to get paid the most amount of money. When you get the most amount of money, that means you'll be able to have a decent lifestyle while you're setting aside your money. And you're going to put it into the stock market. And that's always going to be your first place. You're going to get your insurance set up, right? You're going to turn around and you're going to save some money, not a lot. You just emergency. You got to fund over it's emergency money. After that, you're done. You're literally going to go. You're going to put it into a market fund that's called an index fund. You're just going to put it out there so that it reflects the market. Okay. And it's going to, over any 8, 9, 10-year period, it's going to average between 8 to 10%. It has since its inception, and that's not stopped. That's exactly what it's doing. Okay. And you're not going to touch it. Even when there's a bust and you go, oh my gosh, I just lost half my portfolio, right? I'm 35 years old. I just lost $500,000. You did not lose $500,000. The value of it today has gone down, but you don't care about the value today. Your money is riding. Do not touch it. Do not sell it. Now, you'll hear stories of people, oh yeah, I sold it, the market crashed, I bought back in, it went back up, I made a killing. That happens. But you are playing with fire, because you have just as good a chance to be the dummy that lost it all by doing that. And there's more of those people. So you're literally going to put it there. Then, should you decide, and you never own a business, you will look up, and in your 50s and 60s, you will be a multi-millionaire. You will be rich. Okay? Now, by the way, should your income go up, don't stop doing that. The next thing you do is buy real estate. And buy as much as you can. Have a criteria. When you see a piece of real estate, say, should I buy it? Study it. By the way, if it doesn't meet your criteria, don't buy it. Right? When Mary was pregnant and all my money was in Keller Williams, I couldn't take any money out. I had to leave it all in, but I still wanted money. So I invested in real estate. Right? First deal that I did after we got married, I bought a piece of real estate. It was a great piece of real estate, vacant. I paid $340,000 for it, and a little over a year later, I sold it for $1.1 million. I changed the zoning. Got it? Did you hear that? Then I turned around, and by the way, that wasn't my investment money. That was actually my investment money was Keller Williams. So that money, I took it, a portion of it, I put in savings. A portion of it I lived on. I spent, but the vast majority I turned around. I bought a second home. We bought a vacation home on a river. Then I went out and I did it again. I found another piece of real estate. I paid $290,000 for it. I sold it for $1.1 million. Okay. Did you just hear that? Did you count up how much money I made on just 2 deals?
Almost 3 million.
Yeah. Well, you have to subtract what I paid for them, but I made about $2.2 million gross, and then you have to subtract out the 290 and 240, so 530. So yeah, so 2.2 million minus 530, and I made that on 2 transactions. You get it? Okay. So it's study real estate, because go to the stock market, study real estate. And if you want to end up starting a business, go do that. Okay. But by the way, I made $1 million in the stock market, and I made 700 something thousand on it on one transaction. So, but it's lightning. I did it once. I tried to do it again, and I just put up, because I put up 50,000 and ended up making like 700 and something thousand dollars on the deal. I turned around and thought I was a genius. I took 24,000, placed it, lost it all, and went, I have no idea what I'm doing. Right. And I took that money off the table. But look at that, man. I took 50,000, I made 700,000, and then I took 500 and what did we say? Figure it out, 530, and made 2.2 million. And that was all outside of, and those are little deals. That doesn't make me the richest man. By the way, Keller Williams made me one of the richest men in the world. But those deals still made me rich, you guys. And I had a great life. If I'd have never made any money out of Keller Williams, the fact that my home was paid for, that we had an awesome river house, and I had cash in the bank and didn't have to worry about anything, would you say that's a good life or a bad life?
Pretty good life overall.
Yeah, it's a pretty good life. Financially, it's a pretty good life. And because of the goals that I'd set for myself, the only dilemma at that time, because I was in my 30s when I did all that, the problem with that was it didn't give me the passive income to quit working to finance what I wanted to do, which was help me teach other people. Because that's my mission. I learned early on I wanted to be a teacher. So thank you for the opportunity to teach. Sorry if I offend, because I don't intend to do that. That's not who I am. But you've been listening to my self-talk for the last 2 days, and my self-talk can be very offensive because I'm judging, right? It's me. I'm making decisions. I'm judging. I'm thinking. I'm taking action. Right. All right. So let me leave you with. Normally, if we were live, we'd be talking to each other and we would be interacting. So I missed that, and I'm sorry that we didn't have a chance to do that, because you could have told me that I'm full of it to my face, and that would have been fun. But let me just finish. I'm going to end by telling you a story. And when I was in high school, I heard this story, and I never forgot it. And in fact, I put it in my latest book. But it's a story that completely defined the way I looked at my life. So here's the story. So a little boy goes to his father one day, and he says, "Dad, we don't spend enough time together." And the dad, who loves his son, realizes that's true. He's been really busy, and he realizes that. So he says, "You know what? Tomorrow is Saturday. So we're going to get up and we're going to spend the day together. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be our day." Little boy goes to bed that night. He's really excited. It's Dad Day. It's going to be amazing. Dad gets up a little earlier because he still wants to have his coffee and read the paper. So he's downstairs. He's reading the paper, having his coffee. And all of a sudden, little boy pulls the paper down and goes, "Dad, I'm up." And the dad, of course, loves his son. He's excited. Same time he's going, I need 10 more minutes. I just want to finish the sports section, right? I just want to finish reading that, and I want to finish my coffee. And then I'm game. I'm all on, right? And he's thinking, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And he finally realizes that in the paper, he had seen this picture of the world, right? And so he went to that, tore it out, and then he tore the picture into pieces, and he dropped it on the table. He said, "Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to put together this puzzle of the world. And when we're done that, we'll go outside. So you get started, go as far as you can. And when you get stuck and you can't do anymore, he's going to really try, then I'll help you. We'll finish it. We'll go." Now, little boy, he goes, "Okay, it's dad time." The dad goes, "I'm really smart. I got at least 10 minutes here, easy, and he just pops the paper back up, reading, drinking his coffee. And boy, not a few minutes later, little boy pulls the paper down. He goes, "Dad, I'm done." And the dad looks over, and with parental pride, he sees that the boy has done it. And he goes, "How did you do that?" And the boy goes, "Well, I mean, it was puzzling. But I dropped a piece of paper on the floor, and it's a glass top table. So I went to get it. I looked up and I went, that looks like a picture of a man. So I went and got some tape. I turned everything over, and it was easy. I put the man together, and the world fell into place. And I heard that story. And I realized that you can go out to change the world, but the world is so big and complex, you're not going to do it. So you could turn around and say, okay, I'm going to change my country, but it's too complex and big. Okay, I'm going to change my state, change my city, right? In the end, if you can try to change your family, good luck, right? And so you ultimately realize that all you can really change is yourself. The only thing you can really affect in life, you guys, is yourself. So you focus on yourself and you change, you grow, you develop. And in the process of doing that, all of a sudden you notice that your family is growing and developing. And as your family grows and develops, you notice that you begin to have an impact on your city, and then your state, and then your country, and then the world. And you never left home. All you did was focus on being a better you. And as you became a better you, eventually you changed the world, right? Look at my own life. And I realized that turned out to be true, right? We're in all these countries. I've never been to any of them. I'm probably not going. I really have that much interest in going, you know? But I know this, that when an Egyptian businessman sits down at a table with me and says, we've researched all the real estate companies, and Egypt needs your business. It needs your culture. It needs what you do. You realize that by being a better you, you have traveled across the globe. Your spirit, what you're about, what your gifts are, have traveled the globe and helped other people. Got it? All right. I've enjoyed our time together. I hope that it was valuable to you. I'm going to go play the guitar for a few minutes. Bye-bye.